Her face would not be able to place in Tesco's. Yeah? Well, it's an ordinary sort of affair. But the clothes, I think, would be. Yes? So notice, I'm not quite sure these epaulettes look very strange. but hanging other coats on or something. But anyway, the whole point is, again, this interesting melange of something that is reassuringly normal with something that is not, something that's exotic, which I find a very interesting issue. Perhaps people have views on this in the Q&A. The whole point of Second Life, given that there's no Second Life people really here, is that it is just what it says. It's not a game, it is a Second Life. You can adopt what's called an avatar. That's to say, a completely different identity. You could be a ginger-bearded dwarf, you could be whatever you like. You have to live and work in Second Life. Oxford University now has a site in Second Life. Can you believe that? Sweden has an embassy in Second Life. There are many people making money out of an economy in Second Life, and they actually will work for you. You might pay them so that they'll learn your blacksmith making skills or your armour smelting skills, so that you can then be Vlad the Dragon Slayer if you want later on. And there's people getting divorced losing their jobs because they're Vlad the Dragon Slayer instead of an accountant. You know, they prefer doing that. So it's a very sinister but intriguing corollary of the screen. As well as thinking, for the first time ever, it's a false identity being offered that is a very gripping and real one, and addictive to many, clearly no one here. So, you can have a false life. Something you're more familiar with is the notion of a collective identity, and I think this is presaged by things like Wikipedia, the book Mass Creativity, open source, and the noosphere mentality of the Jesuit priest who said that the eventual idea would be to have a collective noosphere where each of us were nodes, not his word, but components that together thought as a great kind of thinking collective. So this idea, people seem to enjoy, they like Wikipedia. People, amazingly, do seem to like to subsume their identity into a collective group sometimes. And then, of course, what we've been looking at is the node identity, the yuck and wow mentality, the hedonistic wow, and in whichever way it is. And these are three effects I think the screen will have on identity. If you're interested in this, this is what we work on in Oxford, and this is a plug for our website, so you might like to look at that if you're interested, because it's the kind of things that we're exploring. Okay, so that's the cyber world. The NANA world is even more, whereas the cyber world is pervasive, this is invasive. Very briefly, nanotechnology is the engineering on a billionth of a meter, so that you can have implants either in devices or in materials or even in your body that you wouldn't have had before. So these are some examples already in production, as you can see, of development. Imagine cleaning your teeth in the bathroom mirror and the toothbrush says to you, if you carry on like this, you'll lose all your teeth in 5 years' time, you've got gum disease. Somewhat sobered, you then urinate in the lavatory, and the lavatory pan speaks to you and says, you better get yourself checked out, you've got diabetes. You know, because it's analysed your urine flow. It makes you go into the bathroom, a whole new ballgame going into the bathroom. But the idea being that up until now we've assumed most things around us are inert, but in the words of another visionary, we'll soon have things that think. That is to say, everything will be smart and interactive. You can ask your sweater when the Battle of Hastings was, for example. So, Battle of Hastings. And so imagine living in a Google, where you're walking around and you're shifting visual to auditory, just asking things, and inaudible will answer you back. You know? Imagine what that would be like. What will that do to your mind, I wonder? Well, one example was in Newsweek. I wrote a book about this a while ago. There's another one coming out, by the way, in May. This is a great plug for my book called ID, about this very thing. But Newsweek ran something on the similar line of, are we seeing, as that picture I showed you, the rise and rise of the cyborg kid? This is from Ian Pearson at British Telecom, and his version of evolution, starting with Homo habilis, our ancestor that used tools, to the ancestor that stood up, then the Neanderthals that didn't last so very long, but died out in favour of Homo sapiens, that's us. All that took about 1.5 million years. And then he suggests we're getting into, look at this, I love this, Homo sapiens Ludditis, coming to a sticky end in favour of Homo machinus. Yeah? That picture I showed you. Now, of course, no one takes that seriously, and it's a laugh, not in 200 years, but this notion that we are becoming increasingly cyborg-like, possibly. You may be familiar with Kevin Warwick at Reading University, who embraces with huge enthusiasm the idea of being part man, part machine, and having this implant in his arm, and an implant in his wife's arm, and having a computer control them and things like this. I think this is the wife and connubial affection stretched to its absolute limit to have this done. But anyway, that's very poor physiology, incidentally, but that's another story.